This problem comes from page 34 of the workbook and is very similar to parts D and E on number 14 in the lesson 1 homework. A few people asked about these types of problems, so I figured I'd share this video with everyone. So the difference with these is instead of inputting a traditional number, real number, whole number, integer, any of those into the function, we're inputting an expression. So when we input an expression, our result is an expression and not a single number. So we are going to input in letter A the 2x. So wherever we see x in the equation, in the function, we're going to put 2x. Now, when I put those in, I always put them in parentheses. So we have this negative x plus 6, right, just from here. And what I'll do is replace that x with parentheses, and the thing that's in parentheses up here will now go here. Okay, so from there, we're supposed to simplify this. And in this case, that just means, dropping the parentheses and having that be a negative 2x plus 6. And so that's exactly the answer we're looking for in this particular problem, 15a. In 15b, we have to input a different expression. This expression is a binomial, so it takes a little bit more effort to simplify. But again, we're changing this x to a set of parentheses. What are we putting in that parentheses? The x minus 3 now. So I replace this x with x minus 3. Now, in this case, I'm going to, because it's a binomial, I'm going to distribute that negative through to both parts of that expression. So we have negative x, and a negative times a negative will give us a positive 3 there. And then we continue to add our 6. And now we can simplify by adding the 3 and the 6 together so that we get negative x plus 9 for our final answer. Number 16 on that same page has a lot of the same ideas, so I'm going to go through this one as well. We have this function s of t equaling 14 minus 2t, and we need to evaluate each of the following. So I'm going to do something a little bit different here. I'm going to show that I need to substitute for each of these problems. I need to replace that t with our new expression. Our new expression in our first problem is 3t. So 3t will go here. Our new expression in part B is 1/4 t. So that'll go right here. And then our last one is a binomial, and t plus 4 will go right here. So you can see the consistency between these three problems. I'm replacing the t with the expression that they tell me to replace it with, the input. Now, the other thing, just as kind of a side note here, notice my t has a little curl on the end. You probably would want to do that if you experience that, because if you don't, you might think that that's a plus sign. My t's without curling look like plus signs. So just that's kind of an aside. All right, so let me erase that there. All right, so now I want to simplify each of this, which is going to involve distributing this minus 2 to what's inside here. Now we have minus 2 times 3t. That's going to give me a minus 6t. And then I'm just bringing my 14 down. These two cannot be combined, so that's simplified as is, just like that. Same idea here, distributing this minus 2 to what's inside here. Now, I'm going to come over to the side here. -2 times 1/4, we can use our calculator, absolutely. We could also say that's -2/4, and that simplifies as -1/2. So keep that in mind when we multiply an integer by a fraction, a traditional fraction, we just multiply it by the numerator and not by the denominator. Just a reminder. So we have this -1/2 t, and then we bring down our 14. So that right there, that's our simplified version of this particular problem. Now, do not forget to simplify those fractions. The computer will absolutely mark you wrong for that. And while it'll mark you wrong on the test for not simplifying, I'll give you partial credit for not simplifying. So computer's brutal in grading, me less so, I'll give more partial credit. All right, the last one we want to distribute over a binomial, so we have two distributives to do here. That'll be a -2 times t is a -2t, a -2 times a +4 is a -8. Bring down our 14. We can still combine the 14 and the 8 to be 6, and so we have 6 minus 2t. Now, if you said, okay, that's -2t plus 6, that also is a perfectly acceptable, and the computer will not mark you wrong for either one of these answers here. All right, so you can do them, I guess, out of order is what you would say, but there really is no order to this for right now. There will be eventually, but right now there's no order to how you have to put your terms.